Dr. Valerie Napoleon is a visionary when it comes to Indigenous law. An Indigenous lawyer, she is a member of the Indigenous Peoples Council and the Law Foundation Chair of Aboriginal Justice and Governance. She's also an accomplished academic and researcher who co-established the first in the world Indigenous law program at the University of Victoria. Dr. Napoleon is Cree from Saulteaux First Nation and an adopted member of the Gitinyao-Gitxsan Nation who grew up in northern BC. She is also a proud grandmother of 4 grandsons. In 2018, she co-developed and co-established the first in the world Indigenous law degree program at the University of Victoria. Students earn 2 law degrees over 4 years, an Indigenous law degree and a common law degree. In 2012, Dr. Napoleon established the Indigenous Law Research Unit, a dedicated academic research center housed in the Faculty of Law at the University of Victoria. The Indigenous Law Research Unit partners with Indigenous communities across Canada to articulate and rebuild Indigenous law and legal processes, such as human rights, harms and injuries, dispute management, lands and resource management, water and marine management, gender, and justice. As a researcher and professor, Dr. Napoleon publishes and teaches in areas of Indigenous legal traditions and methodologies, Indigenous legal theories, Indigenous feminisms and gender, intellectual property and oral histories, restorative justice, legal pluralism, Aboriginal legal issues, citizenship, and governance. She teaches trans-systematic property law, Gitxsan, and common law. While a grandmother, Dr. Napoleon received her Bachelor of Laws degree from UVic in 2001 and followed that up with her PhD in 2009, also at the University of Victoria. For her dedication, commitment, and service to Indigenous law, UNBC has the honor to present the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa to Dr. Valerie Napoleon.
It's such a privilege to receive this recognition from UNBC. UNBC is a northern university. I'm from the north, and I am Cree. With this honorary doctorate, I am recognized as a northern Indigenous woman, and that is unbelievably special to me. I also hope that my receiving this award will enable little Indigenous girls and all the Indigenous children to see themselves in me. I want them to know that if I can receive such an honor, then so can they. We know that education is such a privilege, that so many people in Canada and elsewhere in the world never get to experience it. For example, a few years ago, I did a guest lecture in El Salvador at one of the poorest universities in the country. There was only one computer, and that belonged to the instructor. People paid what they could for tuition, sometimes only $15 a month. Many, many, many people walked miles to get to that class. There was standing room only, and it was such a large classroom. People were leaning in the windows because there was no glass. Students took every minute of that class absolutely seriously. They refused to miss anything. Those students in El Salvador taught me about never taking education for granted. So, of course, with our privileges, we have responsibilities to our families, to our communities, and to our planet. So what will we do with our privileges? What should we do with our privileges? Recently, I heard the inspiring historian Constance Backhouse. She was advocating that all of us first imagine and then build a vista of radical change. I heard someone else say that we live in worlds that we imagine exist. Such is the power of imagination and of the stories we tell about the world. In telling those stories, we create it. Education, in whatever field we're in, provides us with the space and the ability to think, to solve problems, and to expand our imagination. We just have to hang on to this through all of the challenges, including COVID. I think one of the biggest challenges before us is resisting the pervasive trends of national and global anti-intellectualism. We need to build healthy public intellectualisms in our families and in our communities, Indigenous and non-Indigenous. We need new conversations around our kitchen tables and new energy where we can talk about what intense democracy should be, about citizenries, about what makes law law, about what law should do, who gets to say what law is, and about how we understand legitimacy, about what comprises the relations of power in our lives, about how we might have respectful debates, about how to take care of one another, about how to make sure there are no more missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and about how to take care of the earth. With new abilities and knowledge, students will head out into the world post-COVID, and there'll be new opportunities and places. And what I hope is that the students and everyone else will bring the best that they learn back to the North, back to the northern communities, and to UNBC. Thank you again.